All right, man. We live.
Bet.
What's up?
What's up, sir?
Jelani Hashim, CEO of your favorite nonprofit, Black to Life. I'm here with the chairman of your favorite nonprofit, Mr. Michael Merriweather. And this is a special edition of our kickback series. I missed it on Thursday. Going to save it for today. I want to talk about the 4th of July and people. As you can see, there is a number or a link uh, that is attached to this meeting, which you could actually join in and give your take or just, comment as you see fit. So we just want to talk about what the 4th of July means to you. Now, oh, did you want to say anything, Mr. Merriweather?
Thank you. Hi, everybody
Sorry,
doing
man.
Hope y'all enjoying y'all weekend. As Jelani said, yeah, we missed Thursday, but we decided to come back and give y'all a short chat. Just some quick information. I'm sure a lot of y'all already know, but we just wanted to offer our perspective on what the 4th has meant to us growing up over the years and understanding the meaning of it, the historical context of it. So again, this is your chairman of your favorite nonprofit, Mr. Merriweather. Thank you, Jelani, for having me on, sir.
No problem, man. Thank you for being on. Thank you for giving your insight. So, what does the 4th of July mean to me? Well, I hear a lot about today's world, hear a lot and always have about heritage, about history, about tradition. And 4th of July is one of those holidays that speaks of those things, heritage, tradition, and history. And the 4th of July is to me I can appreciate actually what it is. And to me, the 4th of July is the history of the freedom of America. Now, that's not complex. That's not ambiguous or anything. It's the history of America and those that were deemed to be Americans. So, long story short, 4th of July is the history of the freedom of white America, the 13 colonies' independence from Great Britain. That's what the 4th of July is a celebration of, July 4th, 1776. Who does that not include? That doesn't include people that look like us. So, for that simple fact, as a black man, as a black child, growing up in a black neighborhood, black people around me, I have never known the 4th of July to be as America's like history, or I never got that sense of pride of the 4th of July as being America's birthday or the history of the freedom of America, because I knew that history never, or that freedom never belonged to me. That's how I've always looked at the 4th of July.
Close.
And no, you good. And one more thing about that, I look at the 4th of July a lot like I look at, for different reasons, the Cinco de Mayo. Like Cinco de Mayo, I can appreciate Cinco de Mayo is the history of the freedom of the country of Mexico. So that's what that is. And I can appreciate that for what it is. And I can also look at the history of America and appreciate what the 4th of July is and know that has nothing to do with me. So
it's not basically what you're saying, it's not your holiday.
No, it's not. It's not at all my holiday. And like, hey, wait, get in. So we'll get to y'all in a minute.
Yeah, man. Well, the way I see, like, I used to be like everybody else. I buy the little $5, tees and shorts from Old Navy and rock them on the 4th of July, cook out with everybody. And we still, enjoy the day off. I ain't gonna knock the day off, but I'm definitely, if my job giving me a day off, I'm definitely gonna take it. But
Right.
as I got older, as I started reading more, I read the autobiography of Frederick Douglass, and his speech about how this Fourth is a celebration for y'all. This nation is celebrating freedom in the face of Black people still being enslaved. Like that's kind of what I got as I got older, as I started to read more and to dig deeper into it. So it's not that I have friends that would like you to. Oh, well, it's not like I don't kick it or whatever, or pop fireworks on the day or whatever. But like now, the way I am is Juneteenth is my day. That's my freedom day. That's the day I'm taking off, and I'm gonna celebrate with my family. Which at Juneteenth was always a big thing growing up in Buffalo. Like we'd had a parade down at MLK and stuff. So it wasn't nothing that I didn't actually celebrate, but I celebrate differently as I'm coming older into my 30s and how I want my family to approach it. So, but yeah, I see what you're saying, man. It's something like you said, it's not for us. The celebration isn't for African American people that their family came from Africa. They didn't include us in that doctrine that they wrote and celebrated and established on the 4th of July. So we just got to take it in a different direction, So, we can just keep building. Don't stress about it. Keep doing the things that we doing as a nonprofit. Keep bringing the forth the education to our community and let the people know what we do, and continue to do it proudly. I think we've talked about that. Just even having Black in the name of Black to Life, just letting people know, hey, we are Black men. We've established this nonprofit, and we're going to continue to celebrate ourselves and our culture, and continue to enrich our culture. So,
Yeah. And another thing to the point I was making about Cinco de Mayo, it's like I can appreciate both of those celebrations and know they're not necessarily about me, but I can appreciate Cinco de Mayo even more because Cinco de Mayo doesn't require me to forget or compromise my heritage. And the 4th of July actually has me compromise or wants me to forget my heritage. The heritage of this country was born from Aboriginal genocide and slavery. Like that's what this country was born for. So when that's your foundation and that's your rock, then that's unstable for those that don't recognize or can't affiliate themselves with that. And like you said, so people like me will look to this heritage that is so called to be celebrated, and it's nothing to me. Like the 4th of July is a day off. The 4th of July means my family may be in town because it's summertime. It may be a family reunion. It's some kind of festival going on. We popping firecrackers. Like America's heritage has nothing to do with my celebration and my enjoyment of July 4th. And another reason July 4th is special to me because it's 5 days from my birthday. I'm July 9th. So it's like my birthday is coming up. So July 4th, in the sense of being some kind of some proud moment that I should be as a patriot of America. I've never felt that, and there was never a reason to feel that.
go
In the
back in there.
history of this country, in the history of my people, there has never been a reason to ever feel that. And then the reason we're bringing these points up, just bringing this whole subject up about the 4th of July, is that basically to inform our listeners, our people, and people that may be following this for the first time. We just want you to consciously know what's going on. Like when you hear the words heritage and tradition and history, they're not talking about Black people. They're not including you in that great history. That great history is to your exclusion. It's to our exclusion. That pursuit of life, liberty, and I mean the rights of life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness, that wasn't extended to our people. So in the celebration of that, it is foreign to us. It's foreign to us, and that's why uh, they will continually. It would have like this isn't the first time there's ever been like a conflict of Black Americans, African Americans, and the way that we view or celebrate or not celebrate the 4th of July. This has always been a problem ever since, like you said, Frederick Douglass laid it out. What is 4th of July to the slave? You know, what is the 4th of July? So that speech is still prevalent and resonates to this day. And we're not talking about physical shackles, but we kind of are. In the land of the free, we're the most imprisoned nation in the world. How can you call yourself the land of the free with the most people in prison in
Well,
the
the thing
world?
that I like to touch on a lot of times when I talk about when it comes to Black America and not being free, like people always want to take it to chains, but like if you put it into a context of wealth, and the amount of money that you have and the amount of money that your family has, how, you know, typically an African American family, when it comes to stats, it's worth 5,000. That amount of wealth is in a sense slavery, because you are not afforded the same opportunities as other people when you don't have capital to do things. You don't have access to investment opportunities. You don't have access to housing. You don't have access to just typically other wealth building tools and vehicles when you're at that level of wealth. And a lot of times people who are poor, this is the issue with being poor, people who are poor are constantly working just to maintain their status. So there's no chance of them taking risk to access more wealth. See, that's the thing when you hear stories about, hey, like I just quit my job and I started this business and I'm making $1 million right now. African Americans typically aren't afforded that. These stories that you read on Yahoo Finance all the time about, hey, I'm 30 and I paid off all my debt, or I'm just, you know, doing X, Y, Z. A lot of times those people are living at home. You know, when you talk about an African American family living at home, we don't have that same structure. So that living at home might mean we're all living in a 2-bedroom apartment. You can't start a family on top of another family like that. That takes away from you, that eats at you. So a lot of times when people refer to wealth and actual slavery, poverty is a form of slavery. You know, and I have to keep reiterating that to people because people seem to lose in these nice stories of, oh, such and such made it, or such and such did X, Y, Z. Like a lot of times, you know, people like you and I who come up out of that stuff, you know, it's by happen chance. Yes, we worked hard, but you know, we lucked up and ran into somebody that had gave us a chance and gave us a shot. You know, nepotism is an amazing thing and it's an amazing way to build wealth. African Americans repeatedly over history, every time we've amassed a large amount of wealth or built something on our own, whether it be the government or mobs or militias, they found a way to take that away from us. And so we've continued to have setback after setback, you know, over the history, like you said, and the heritage of this country, time and time again. So we aren't afforded those same opportunities as other people. So yes, in a sense, Black people still are in slavery. Like I said, if your family is worth $5,000, going to college isn't the same. Your conversation and your trip to college isn't the same trip as your white counterparts. So again, that is a form of slavery. And if an African American person has an emergency or an issue or family, that was one of my biggest fears at college. My family having an emergency and me having to pick and choose, hey, how am I going to make this work over these next 4 years? Because again, I'm not afforded that same opportunity as my white counterparts, whereas there's a foundation established and built when emergencies arise, and they're not completely set back, tenfold. Like you read all the stories about what's happening during the pandemic, how the wealth gap has continued to increase. Rich people are getting richer because they're finding and they're able to capitalize on opportunities where the assets were low, or certain people needed X, Y, Z, and those people had quick access to those, so they could profit off that. Black people or people of color in general aren't able to capitalize off of those because, hey, pandemic means X, Y, Z. You lost your job, or you were furloughed, and you're on unemployment. So, yes, Frederick Douglass made a speech about how African Americans are still in change, and you can talk about Black people being, having the most billionaires at any point in time, but as a whole, Black people are still in slavery as a whole. So,
I mean, those same people will probably argue with you that things were better back then because, hey, man, even Frederick Douglass was able to speak. He was a free man. It's like, just because, like you said, there are those stories and those instances of people that do make it, the majority of our people are pigeonholed into a situation to where the options are limited. And crime pays.
Right.
It does. So those are your options, and they're set there in your face, and they're easy to fall for, because when you don't see any other options, you don't know any other way to go. And that's where we have to come in as organizations in our community to give those opportunities and to educate on opportunity. And that's what Black to Life is all about. It's all about educating, it's all about inspiring, it's all about providing, man, and empowering our neighborhoods by us and for us. You know what I'm saying? That's what we're about. And the first part of it is the liberation of the mind. Like, you have to know, most of us have to know that if you grew up here in America, your mind is basically European centric. If you think about even everything that was taught, like in school, out in society, everything is from a European centric way of thinking. Even if you think about exploration, like we were talking about earlier today, like the New World, which this was called. The New World to who?
Right.
Like, it's like y'all are late to the game, Europe. You know what I'm saying? The New World, people were already here. People had already been over in this land and had done business, done commerce, laid roots here, had children. Like, it was a thriving place before Europeans got here. And that's the misconception that Europeans colonized and civilized the world. They did colonize the world, but there was nothing civil.
Yeah, it was nothing civil about the act. Yeah, and that Eurocentric viewpoint is detrimental, because you look at how the complexes that Black people have, and even the way that our families are structured. Like they talk about, and there's scientific facts about how trauma is passed through the bloodline. So you think about a Black family, whereas in slavery, the man is constantly ripped from his family on a regular basis. Or as a man, you're forced to watch your wife being raped or beat on a regular basis, or your wife is having children from your master on a regular basis. That trauma passes down from bloodline to bloodline. So whereas, again, people can always talk about, hey, I know my family history from my great grandfather all the way back in Ireland or whatever. Like, we don't have that option. And so that, again, that idea of culture and being able to build off of that culture and being able to identify, just some of the things that you consider your own. I tell my Caribbean friends all the time, like they held on to a certain part that we as African Americans weren't able to. All that carnival, all their rituals and their themes and their history and their celebrations, that's cultural. Those are things that they kept from Africa. They might have switched it and changed it a bit, but that stuff comes from Africa. When you hear those drums and the music, and their celebrations and the instruments, that's cultural. That's stuff that they've been able to bring forth and still keep to themselves. And for whatever reason, well, not for whatever reason, we were stripped of it. We were stripped of everything that when it came to being African, even down to our names in America. So they have that option, we don't. And so we keep trying, we keep learning, we keep educating ourselves, we keep moving what we have built, basically a new culture that they keep taking from and colonizing as they get a chance to when it comes to the music, our vibe, the way we do certain things. But we just gotta, as you said, as an organization, continue to put forth the face of Black men, building up our communities, the things that we've already known to do, just do it on a major label.
I just thought about this because it happened over the week, Thursday and Thursday. Do you feel offended when you get told happy 4th or enjoy the 4th? Or
No.
Happy 4th of July?
No.
Okay.
Because it's knee jerk, right? It's knee jerk. What's funny though is I haven't got it that much this year. I just got to enjoy the long weekend this year.
Yeah. So I actually got a couple of times and some emails or whatever, and I just didn't respond because at first I felt the same way you did. I felt like, it's a knee-jerk reaction. Like, you may say Merry Christmas and not realize a person doesn't celebrate Christmas. But you just say, hey, Merry Christmas.
Right.
All right. Only difference is you can't look at nobody and tell their religion.
Right.
You can look at me and tell me I'm Black. So you're gonna tell me happy 4th of July. You know what I'm saying? But I don't think nobody has ever thought about it to the point of where it's like, hey man, this really isn't anything to do with you. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like,
right.
I think that thought process needs to happen because Juneteenth, like you said, that's my day. And the reason I more celebrate Juneteenth because we're still fighting those same battles today. But the reason I more celebrate Juneteenth is because I can imagine the joy that those people felt
right
when they realized, like we've been free for how
long? Right.
This ain't just happened today.
Right.
Like it's a mix of emotions, man. I can't imagine like knowing like, hold on, wait,
right,
2 years ago.
Right.
Oh man. And you can imagine the joy, probably the anger, frustration, but after that, it probably was joy just to be like, man, we done with that bull,
Yeah.
But and that's why I said just for that momentary, that moment of victory that those people had for that moment of time, man. Even though it was short lived, because in 1866, Jim Crow, bang, 100 years of that. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So, yeah, I think people that don't think about that need to, because if you're gonna know American history, if you want to celebrate American heritage, you need to know what you're celebrating. Like, no, it's not this romanticized version of, Mount Rushmore. They got 4 presidents up there. They say Washington is for the creation of the nation, Thomas Jefferson for the development, Lincoln was for the progression, and Roosevelt was for the sustain the nation. So you have to realize that you're talking about creation progression, no, creation, development, progression, and sustainability. And all of that stems from the system of white supremacy because all those four actors operated in that realm.
Right.
And they want to say that, oh, Lincoln freed the slaves. Lincoln didn't free shit. Now let's
Yeah.
just be clear. He signed the Emancipation Proclamation in 1863, which ended slavery. But it didn't. Because
Right.
as you see in Texas, brothers and sisters were still being oppressed until 1865. And no matter, ain't no telling where else this was going on. You know what I'm saying? So Lincoln essentially didn't do nothing. Like he didn't
And
actually said in his speech, I just want to save the Union. And if I got to end slavery to do it, I'll do that. And if I don't have to free the slave, I'll do that. So that was never his interest.
well,
So
and that's what Ava's documentary team touches on. Whereas, you know, with the basis of, if you look at the history of the police and where they were founded on their ideas and the foundation of the police, it wasn't to initially protect and serve. You know, they were founded in order to get back that property, or basically make sure Black people remained in their place in society. So yes, you know, we do have a different formation of it this day, but if you take a look at what's going on right now in any aspect of it, you know, we're still under the thumb.
Dad,
yes, baby.
if what it told you have to give me money.
Okay, how much money do I have to give you?
$5.
Okay, I don't have 5. I got a 20. Is that okay?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Well, no, I got a 5. There you go.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, get one.
To get one?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Sorry about that, y'all. Daddy duty.
good, man. It's all good. So you gave her $5 for real?
Yeah, I gave her $5. She hustling. She out here. She created an acorn cake. She's out here doing.
I'm saying, why you didn't give her the 20?
Huh?
Huh?
It was.
Huh?
She charged me 5. Somebody charged you $5 or something. You're not gonna give them 20 for it, is you?
Maybe the fruit of my loins, I mean.
Look. What day is it? What day is it? Today's the 4th?
By 4.
Yeah. Okay. Well, about 10 days ago, she had a nice deposit into that 529. She all right.
Yeah, But yeah, you were saying something, what you do?
No, I was done, man. I was just basically stating how, you know, how this nation always instituted new tools in order to keep Black people under the thumb and in what America deemed their place in society. So, you know, we got to keep pushing. Hopefully, what's happened these past few weeks or this month will be sustained in a form where we get away from these gestures of, you know, maybe taking down monuments or removing a flag or changing a. Okay, babe. Thank you.
Tell him if you want.
I'll sell one to Jelani after we finish. Okay.
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 But I'll be in here so you can sell it.
Okay. Well, yeah, these symbolic gestures of unity, when it's not actual dismantling of the of the institution. The institution needs to be dismantled. Just because you want to say that we're being progressive, but those boards need to change. Until you have boards of directors all across this nation that reflect the nation, that's when, and I'm not just talking about your board of directors being director of diversity either. Like that's a nice. No, I'm you laughing, but I'm saying like that's a nice thing. Like it's easy to have a director of diversity, and we create, you know, all right, we easily create, you know, a coalition or something of diversity. But does your institution and does your corporation actually reflect diversity? Are those voices actually being able to be heard and to be reflected? If you look at a lot of the things that are going on, who was that? The Jimmy, the sub place that said they changed the BLT to be BLM.
Jimmy John's, man. Talking about the bacon, lettuce, and mayo.
Yeah. But that's exactly what everyone's been doing for this past month, right? It's just symbolic and it's laughable. You know, some of these actions are actual changing things. Like I applaud Netflix for saying that they're gonna put money, London, back up, baby. Put money into Black institutions. You know, that's important. Those are changing. Those are things that can actually change and create wealth. You know, some of these places that are saying they're gonna throw money at, you know, the problem, what are you actually throwing money at? Because I get people saying, hey, I want to throw money at cops. Was Dak threw $1 million to cops so they could have better training, but you can't, and I think I said this on the last time we was live, like you can't train a person to see me as another human being. You know, these officers are walking off the job when you hold them accountable for their actions. You can't train that. That's you can't. That has to be removed. And hopefully, yes, baby. Hopefully with the defunding of the police departments where it's not actually dismantling them completely, but it's taking away some of their power. If they continue to do actions like that, if these cities continue to do actions like that and put those funds, London, you're gonna have to leave with that. London, leave. Okay, but you gotta leave, okay? Go in the front room. London, Elise.
I'm putting them back.
I know, but did you hear me? Thank you.
I put the acorns in there and I'm gonna come back. I'm gonna come back and get my
Okay,
money.
I love you. But yes, those actions have to be tangible actions. We can't have these symbolic transactions go forward and continue on, whereas it's just a thought of, hey, I'm doing something. No, Black people have to be empowered and actually be put in positions of empowerment, and be able to take advantage of these wealth. Again, I always go back to wealth because that is the basis of all of this. Black people have to be put in the positions where we're able to create wealth and be able to operate in this society free of fear of sharing our voices. Stinky, can you close the door? Close the door, baby. Close the door. Thanks, man. Let out. My bad, man. You still there? All right. Matter of fact, let me get up off, man. The family calling me, man.
All right. That's good. Hey, we'll appreciate you talking to me, man.
No problem, man. You keep it going on. I know you're gonna carry it on, but thank y'all for joining us. Again, y'all check out everything that Black to Life has going on. I said it on the Financial Fridays yesterday. Upcoming, we do have the scholarships for gentlemen in trade school, and as well as males going into education, and the teacher grants. Be on the lookout for that post as well. $100 to teachers, regardless of how school will be. We know you will need funding to do something to make sure that these kids get the education they deserve. So while they defunding the police, they can fund our education system. I'm gonna bounce on that note though, man.
All right, man. Please.
All right, man. Y'all stay up.
I'll let you. All right. So as Mike was leaving, man, he was actually talking about these empty gestures of like the monuments being taken down, talking about renaming these army bases, and all that's cool and everything, but you know, we were really like the killers that killed Breonna Taylor to be arrested. That's what we were really like. We were really like the system of white supremacy to be abolished. That's what we were really like. We were really like systemic racism to be over, and for mass incarceration to be done. That's what we want. We want racism to be over. Why is that a debate? Why is this such a discussion? On the 4th of July, on the day of freedom of America, why is the freedom of all people still up for debate? And I'll tell you why. Because of tradition, heritage, and history. America and Americans love their traditions, their heritage, and their history, no matter how bad it is, and no matter who it offends. Like this country, when it was colonized, was made for Europeans. It was to be made as European stronghold. And for that reason, when the 4th of July comes around, it's coming around what? The 244th time this year. We will always be in a constant struggle cognitively as a nation because the simple ills that still affect the people are still alive. It's still there. So until those things are moved, until those things of mass incarceration, system of white supremacy, and systemic racism, until those things are abolished and over and actually dealt with, then there'll never be a full acceptance of what America is supposed to be because America has failed to be what she promised. And like I said, why is there a need for discussion? Check this out. The American heritage causes for certain groups of people, and I'm just going to put African people, causes for me to love the American heritage, I have to deny my heritage, the greatness of my heritage, because I have to assimilate to what America wants me to think. Like that is the history of America's heritage. The history of America's heritage is the domination and the stripping away of my culture from my people. That's the heritage and the history that you require me to love. And it makes no sense. It makes no sense. So there is no, when people want to say, hey, why can't we have, an intelligent conversation about race? Well, because for the most part, we're talking about racism. See, we can have an intelligent conversation about race and the different races and how to appreciate the differences and the totality of all that. But we can't have no conversation about racism. Why are we talking about racism? You know what racism is? I know what racism is. Why are we talking about it? The only talk we should ever have about is it's over with. It's done. I ain't trying to hear you defend your heritage. I ain't trying to hear you defend your history. I ain't trying to hear you defend your traditions. They mean nothing to me. They mean nothing to Black people as a whole. I'm not gonna say everybody because some Black people and some people in period, they ascribe to these tenets and full straight wholeheartedly, like with no problems, no issues. So I can't say that's 100%. But as Black people as a whole, the American traditions, heritage, and history does not speak for African people. It does not. It does not. Our history, our heritage, and our traditions started way before this country was ever even thought of. Way before 1776, way before 1619, way before 1492, way before all that. The African heritage, the African tradition, and the African history is rich and long and full of majesty and just greatness. So the history of this country doesn't even compare. Doesn't even compare. So when you hear, and when I hear, this is the greatest country in the world, developed by the greatest human beings to ever walk the face of the planet. That is no way in nobody's history books or anybody's train of thought even close to the truth. So we here at Black to Life are about conscious knowledge. We just want you to know all those things, those code words of heritage, history, and tradition are really code words for white supremacy. If you think about what the heritage of this country is, if you think about what the history of this country is, and if you think about what the traditions of this country is, why would we still want to hold on to those things? Like, they were never good, never. So why would we want to continue to hold on to those things? And until we get that together, this country will continuously be in a constant struggle cognitively between races. It will constantly be in that. Because like I said, Black people, we do not, we as a whole, we do not see this holiday as our day of freedom. Historically, this holiday does not speak to the freedom of people of color in this nation. It does not speak, Black people, excuse me, Black people. It does not speak to Black people's freedom in this country. So with that being said, you have to understand, at the 4th of July, while it may mean something to some of you like Drew Brees, when he sees that flag and he remembers his grandfather, his great grandfather, you know, serving the military and being heroes and being loved and honored and just, you know, welcomed home with love. I think of 1919, the Red Summer, when the brothers came home from World War I and were hung and killed in their uniform after serving this country. That's what I think. I think about the brothers in Vietnam that were called and pulled from their homes, put on the front line, disproportionately in that war, in that conflict. That's what I think about. I think about our military brothers and sisters to this day that are in the military and still face those racial discrimination and those and prejudices in their ranks and on their way to the top, on their way to moving up, even though it's 2020 and they've been fighting for this country since its inception. Black people have fought in every conflict from 1776 until now. But before 76, the American Revolution, the 1770s till now, fought in every conflict for this country, and still are denied the rights that this country has promised to its citizens. And this isn't a speech to try to get anybody upset or try to, you know, down talk anybody or nothing like that, or down talk America. It's just it's giving out facts. The romanticism of America is just gone. It's gone. The luster, the shine on a new toy is gone. And you know, we as a group of people are not going to teach our children to be blind and deaf to that anymore. You know, we're in this country, we're born in this country. This is supposed to be our country, so we're going to make sure it's going to be our country. And that way, by that, we're going to educate our children, educate our people, so we know how to navigate and move through this country. And we will fight to continue to liberate our people in this country. So that's what the 4th of July means to me. Basically means we got a lot of work to do. Means we got a lot of work to do, but we're going to do it. We're going to do it. And we got enough of us to do it. We have enough knowledge. We have enough skill. We have enough ability. We have enough people. We have enough resources. It's up to us. So let's take care of our communities, man. And, I hope everybody enjoyed the long weekend off and enjoyed your family, enjoyed this day. But like I said, you need to realize that this day means different things for different people. And to me, this is just a day to get together with family, just to have fun, kick back, and live a little. It has nothing to do with any traditions, history, or heritage at all for me. That America's history is not one I am ready to celebrate or to exonerate. I mean, not exonerate or to amplify. That's what I'm gonna say. I apologize. I'm not ready to amplify that history or put it up on Front Street as something great. It's not. This country is not the greatest country ever created. These are not the greatest human beings ever walked the face of the earth. America has its problems, has a lot of problems, and until they're recognized and until they're addressed accordingly, without these gestures of taking down things and renaming things, we want systemic changes in this system. That's what we need. And that's what we need to continue to tell our children not to settle for. And in our communities, that's the message we need to continue to preach and just preach positivity, education, and inspiration amongst our people. And just let everybody know, this is what we're facing, but we in this together. Thank y'all for listening to me. I hope y'all enjoyed another kickback conversation for Black to Life. These are conversations to enrich and inform and educate the Black community and communities worldwide. We'll see y'all next week, man. I'll take it easy. All right, peace.